We're live. It is Wednesday, and this is the Rich Lieberman Media Pulse, the middle of the week. And, you know, I often get criticized because they say, the critics, that I don't compliment enough, that I'm very, very cynical and wheezy and pathetic, which is all the above. And I agree with all that. And so, with all that said, when I'm driving around, when I'm, not coughing and sneezing and feeling like shit for the past 2 months that I have felt off and on, when I feel a little bit better, went to go get some coffee. So I got the radio on. And most of the FM radio around here is very generic and sort of, quite frankly, boring. And, there's a few exceptions. There used to be some really interesting people, and FM has become benign and boring and uninteresting. Even the music stations, and I'm not talking about, for example, KCSM or 89.1, the big band station. Those are interesting, and they're sort of out of the realm of the traditional FM radio, which is rock and roll, R&B, rap, country, those kind of stations. Because those stations now are so formulated and automated, and they just don't have the music. If you like certain kinds of music, I guess it's okay. But there's no personalities. Disc jockeys are foreign. And I know there's exceptions and all that, but even those are getting broken up by these big corporate companies that have very little radio acumen. With all that said, a long preamble. So I'm driving around and I tune into this, talk about predictable, but boy, was I mistaken. Star 101.3, which is an iHeart station. 101.3 FM. And I'm listening to this morning team. They're a duo by the name of Marcus and Corey. And it's a male, female, kind of a coffee, wake up, everything's kind of cool. They do sort of a mellow, can I say that? I just did. A mellow program with little bits of kind of radio shtick on the FM, but it works. It works. Why does it work? And I've listened to them a while off and on now. It works because they sound, first of all, like two genuine people, two adults, little hip or overly hip now and then. And they do various bits that in my, early days, I probably would have found kind of forced and contrived, but where they change the story, so to speak, is the fact that they seem genuine, they seem like they're having a good time, and they are, I use the word mellow. They sound as if they're drinking coffee and looking at the various social media sites that they constantly plug, including their own Instagram. But it's cool because one of the things that I like about these guys, one's a woman, one's a man, Marcus and Corey, is while they, schmooze about pop music and gossip and all that, they also show a human side, a genuine side, as I indicated. And it's real. And it would be akin to going to a Starbucks, say, in the morning before you go to work or before you do whatever you do. And you're sitting there talking with a friend. And maybe it's a guy and a woman, maybe it's your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your spouse or a co office worker, and you're talking about whatever. I don't know, Taylor Swift, God forbid, Trump, politics, who's sleeping with whom, contrived a bit. Again, but in this case, these guys make it work because genuine. They're genuine. They don't look as if they're reading off of any kind of notes. I'm sure they have presenters and people in the background, maybe an intern, maybe a producer that's giving them information, but they pull it off. And that's hard to do this day and age, particularly on FM radio when so many people have their headphones on and they're probably listening to satellite stereo or radio and maybe listening to their own music. People have very little time these days to actually listen to people who sound interesting. One of the reasons why people ask me, well, why don't you talk about the shows in the morning? Because I haven't been able to find a show. And I chanced upon these guys because, dare I say it, they're funny, they're creative. One of the bits that they do in a normal civilized world, I would find boring and kind of contrived. They do this thing where they'll have a gal or a guy talk about a relationship that went south. And they want to find out why the guy, or in most cases, the woman, the girl, didn't call the guy back, say, after their first date or second date. Now, again, normally I would think something like that wouldn't work. It would be very forced. And they do bits like this on the radio. I used to hear it on various different radio shows. But these guys make it happen because it's often funny. And, obviously they set up the woman or the guy saying, we're going to call you and ask you why you ghosted this person after you had apparently a pretty good date, a first date or second date. Okay, but they're trying. And it's funny. And I've listened to it a few times driving down the freeway or in a neighborhood or wherever I was on my way to get some coffee. And look, I didn't turn the station. And this is, mind you, 101.3. This is iHeart. This is not exactly KSAN in the 1970s. And my point on that is one of the many reasons why I don't listen to a lot of FM other than KCSM for jazz or 89.1 for big band and classical and all that kind of stuff is because it's all benign. It's orchestrated. It's like assembly line productions. Everything is a bit. But these guys sound real and authentic and genuine. And oh, by the way, the music they play, it's a little popish. Lots of, speaking of Taylor Swift, but they do other things too, and the other forms of music. Lots of past years, present years. They play a lot of 1990s, 2000s, and as they advertise music of today. Now, combine that with this Marcus guy. Sounds like an interesting person. Corey is kind of Marcus's Ed McMahon. And a lot of it, there's a certain fluidity. It's crisp. It's clear. It's funny. Oh, there are times where it's kind of annoying and they branch off into sort of minutia, pop, gossipy crap. But you can put up with that because even they themselves oftentimes provide very cynical, oftentimes funny and humorous banter with regards to said Taylor Swift PR minutia. And they talk, and it doesn't sound rehearsed. It sounds, as I said the word before, authentic. So, an endorsement, a wholehearted endorsement. Corey and Marcus, or is it Marcus and Corey? Anyway, in the morning on the radio, Star 101.3 FM, and give it a listen, enjoy it, take part in it, and let me know. As I often say, feedback is very powerful here. I absolutely encourage feedback. Let me know what you think. If you liked it, great. If you didn't like it, if you're somewhat in the middle, let me know. rich.lieberman@gmail.com. I am on the YouTube channel here every day when I'm not feeling like crap. And no, I'm not always negative. No, I'm not always moody and prissy and shitty and head messed up kind of persona. If I like something, be it TV, radio, internet, what have you, streaming, I will mostly compliment, because after all, too much negativity is not good for the human soul. I don't know what the hell I just said, but you get the drift. By the way, if you can, become a subscriber on my YouTube show. If you like this every day, where I talk about opine and break stories like I did the other day, please make a donation to my site so I can continue to give you. I am the funder. You are the funder. I don't go after advertisers. I want to be independent. I don't want to be beholden to companies telling me what I can say and what I can't say. I can only do that if you help me. $15 for the year. That's $1 a month. 12 plus $3, so I can go out and buy a small Pete's coffee with no soy milk, no milk, just black, strong Pete's coffee. PayPal, click on it. It's safe, it's secure. Make a donation, and I promise you I will thank you in return. Hey, thanks for watching, and we will see you soon.